We were talking about something a moment ago.
Well, there was the Bengals game.
Right. The apocalypse.
Which may or may not have happened already.
Okay. Well, if you're watching this, then we lived through it. Good job, everybody. Christmas could be canceled if the apocalypse happens.
As will the Bengals Steelers game.
Super Bowl done.
A lot that we talk about here could be nullified by a lot of things. Could be nullified by the apocalypse,
or discovered by a future race of beings. How about that?
Which would be kind of cool.
Wow.
Yeah. So we'll start with the game.
Okay, go ahead.
So the Bengals and Steelers, which is, who would have thought 2 months ago, almost to the day as we sit here, when the Bengals and Steelers played last time, that these two teams would be playing with a wild card spot on the line, and the two teams going in the directions they're going in. Bengals trending up, Steelers trending down.
And another thing is, we brought this up before, the Bengals going into Pittsburgh, knocking off them would not only take Pittsburgh out of the playoff picture, catapult the Bengals into a possible AFC Championship North battle coming up the following week. But let's not put the cart before the horse. We've got to get to Pittsburgh first.
Not get too far ahead of ourselves. I think, are we using what we did before, or the camera died before? We splicing that together?
So if the camera's going to die now, we can pause and change outfits, maybe scenery.
Gotta love the
amount
of communication we do with our staff. Anyway, look, you can get into the ins and outs of who's not going to play and where the Bengals have advantages. Ike Taylor and Keenan Lewis not playing, I think, is going to highlight sort of a chess game. If you think about the first time these two teams played, Andy Dalton won very good, threw for 105 yards, getting rid of the ball quickly. Pittsburgh only rushed 4 that day. They rarely blitzed. How does LeBeau change his game plan based on what's happened in the secondary and what happened last week against Dallas? Does he send a bunch of guys hoping to hurry Andy into bad throws, or knowing his secondary, those guys out there on islands, does he rush only 4, send everybody back? I think that's going to be interesting, and it's going to come down to Andy Dalton's pocket awareness, which wasn't very good against Philadelphia, how quickly he gets rid of it, and ultimately, A.J. Green's going to have to make some plays.
Well, and also on the other side of the ball, Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, you're talking about a guy who can hold on to the ball for about 7-8 seconds, scramble. They can't get the guy. It takes 2 guys to bring him down. You've got to, if you're within proximity, you've got to bring him down. If you don't bring him down, allow him to make plays, he will beat you every time.
And look, this is not a very good running team. You think of the Steelers, you think, well, they're going to run the ball well. They haven't, but they ran it well against the Bengals first go-around. Now, I would argue Cincinnati in the front 7, namely the linebackers, are better than they were 2 months ago. And so that doesn't concern me nearly to the extent that it did earlier in the season. And, we talk about Andy Dalton getting back to them offensively. The last 2 weeks, they haven't protected him. Philadelphia ate him up front.
Oh, God, yeah.
Dallas got to him 5 times, sacked him 5 times, hit him a bunch more. Can Andy avoid throwing picks? Can Andy, if he gets hit, hold on to the football? And how often is he going to get hit? But look, we can get into all the mechanics of the game. At the end of the day, Mike Tomlin wins these kind of games. The Steelers win these kind of games. Marvin Lewis loses these kind of games. The Bengals lose these kind of games. This is going to be, I think, a close game. Obviously, there's a lot riding on it. We wondered for weeks, will game management issues plague the Bengals in a close game? Well, they did 2 weeks ago. So while I feel good about a lot of the X's and O's and matchups and stuff like that, as much as I hate going in this direction, they're still the Steelers, these are still the Bengals, and that's going to be the case until Cincinnati wins a game, not just against the Steelers, but a game like this against the Steelers.
Well, it's there's no doubt this magnitude for Andy Dalton to step up to win at Heinz Field is going to make a statement. Now, is this the type of team, is he the type of quarterback that can lead them into Heinz Field and get a victory with the playoffs on the line? And like you said, the Steelers are the Steelers, the Bengals are the Bengals, and if that plays out like that, Bengals walk away with a loss and maybe back into the playoffs if they beat the Ravens or something next week, which would be typical Bengals football, I think.
Well, but here's the thing about that. If the Bengals get to the postseason, granted they can still lose, although if they lose this weekend, frankly, we're depending upon the Cleveland Browns to help out. And we know how that could turn out. But here's what I like about this, and here's why I want them to win, aside from just the obvious reasons of being a Bengals fan. Because if you win this week, and maybe you have a chance, forget even if the AFC North is on the line. You've got a chance to beat the Baltimore Ravens, who are a mess right now. The Bengals, 05, 09, 2011, never went into the postseason with any momentum. 05, they lose their last 2. losing the first round, the Carson Palmer game. 2009, they lost 3 out of their last 4. Didn't play well at all the last month of the season. Played a total turd against the Jets. Last year, lost 3 of their last 5. Heartbreaking loss to the Texans at home.
Yep.
Go into the postseason and get smoked. This year, they will get to the postseason because they played very well down the stretch. And while I think there's a separation, look, it's New England, Denver, and Houston, and then everybody else.
Yes.
And that includes Pittsburgh, the Ravens, Indy, the Bengals, everybody else. I give them a puncher's chance if they get in, and that's a major if, because there's something said about momentum going into that month.
And you know what? I don't think anybody is looking at the Cincinnati Bengals as a force to be reckoned with. If they get in, they go on the road, obviously. They're a wild card team. If it were to go to the playoffs today, they would end up going to Gillette Stadium, I think, to play the Patriots.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is Tom Brady isn't a guy that takes another team lightly.
No.
They'll beat a team 45-0 whether you're a good team or a bad team.
Yeah.
That's the dangerous part about a Patriots team.
I agree. I'd like to take my chances and have that opportunity. But I disagree with you from the standpoint that people aren't taking the Bengals seriously. They're taking them lightly. I don't think people... I think it's been interesting following this team since early November. I think here, because we've had the rug pulled out from underneath us, you know, we've seen what happens when good Bengals teams get down the stretch or get to the postseason. We've been a little bit more hesitant to jump on board. And when I say we, I just mean people here in Cincinnati.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you read a lot of people nationally, they're buying in. They're buying into, you know, guys we've talked about, A.J. Green. They're buying into Andy Dalton, even though he's been hit or miss this season. They're buying into Geno Atkins. I think they're buying into this defense. I think they're buying in to the direction the Bengals are going. My fear is locally, from a perception standpoint, if they lose to the Steelers and if they don't make the postseason, for many it's going to undo what I think has been a positive year.
I do too.
I think this team has grown. I think this team is actually better than last year. I think they have a ways to go before they're Denver, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, the teams that are always winning. New England, Denver's obviously not always winning. They have a ways to go, but this year they've made strides. It'll be reflected for everybody if they go to the postseason, but even if they don't, I'm going to feel good about the direction, even if I will be crushed about not making the postseason. All that said, look, at some point you got to knock the king off his throne, and if you don't do it this year, then when are you?
Well, and we're in what I like to call a little franchise foreplay right now at the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
They're giving us a tease right now. We're not in their pants yet, all right? They're on the cusp of something great, I think.
I'm not even familiar with this. I never have any franchise foreplay.
Oh, come on, Mo. Yeah, you little tease from the Bengals, you get a little taste of it, like, I want to get that chicken back, right?
I get the metaphor. I understand where you're going.
Right.
I can't speak from experience.
No, I've never betted a Cincinnati Bengals, so nor can I.
Okay.
However, that being said, I think the Andy Dalton factor, the A.J. Green factor, Gresham, I'm a little, 50-50 on him right now. I'd like to see him become a bigger part of the offense.
Yeah.
But we're moving the ball. I think they're going into games more confident now. I mean, even though Philadelphia practically gave it to us, I mean, I've never seen anything like that. But a win's a win, and that will build momentum. I think that they go into Heinz Field confident.
Yeah.
Not that you have to, listen to me, I know all NFL players say, no, you got to be confident.
Yeah.
You go into Heinz Field, you're intimidated by the Steeler tradition, by the Steeler team, by the fans, but they've seen how the Steelers are this year. And they know that Monday night game, or Sunday night game, I don't think was a good representation of how the Bengals have grown from then and now.
And I think if you think of that Sunday night game, what made it so frustrating is that we walked away from that going, boy, that's not a very good Steelers team.
Yeah.
And the Bengals let a game like that get away. Andy Dalton throws for 105. And the Steelers barely win.
They squeak.
At the same time, I remember saying a lot of these things about this matchup a season ago. The Bengals went to Heinz Field late in the year, good Bengals team against a Steeler team that went to the postseason and fell behind really early. Remember, there was a turnover on special teams. It was 28-0, really before you blinked. And my fear is something like that. I think it's so cliche to say you got to get off to a quick start and all those sort of things, but my fear is 10 minutes into this game, it's 14-0. And all of a sudden, it just feels like it's going to snowball, even if it doesn't necessarily snowball. Right. Last year, it felt like it was going to, and then it did. I put a great amount of importance on stopping them early, scoring early. Just to erase, I know a lot of these guys haven't been here very long,
right.
to sort of exercise whatever demons Do that early, then play football. Instead of, okay, it's Heinz Field again. It's the Steelers again. We've lost 10 out of 12 to these guys. Here's 11 out of 13. We can't come back. Give me a quick start.
I'm more than confident enough on the Cincinnati Bengals getting the job done in Pittsburgh that I am going to Heinz Field Sunday morning.
Oh.
I've spent $140 on tickets to go into the belly of the beast and witness greatness, witness history, Mo.
Well,
that's how confident I am.
You will fit in because I just saw your knee. I thought you were wearing jorts. Good luck.
Thank you.
You going full head to toe Bengals gear?
I've heard. Now here's the thing. Here's where I need your help. I've heard both sides. I've heard there's some good sections to sit in, and there's some places you don't even want to go.
Yeah.
I thought about halfway through the game. Right. I buy a Steelers hat. Halfway through the game, take it off, put the Bengals gear on, go heel right in the middle of the game.
I've only been to one Bengals-Steelers game in Pittsburgh, and it was a long time ago, 1995.
Oh wow.
Three River Stadium, Thursday night game. Bengals win 27-9. The Jeff Blake, Darnay Scott. It was awesome. Jumped out to a big lead early. And I was a freshman in college. I was the most obnoxious man on the planet. Still might be. Head to toe Bengals gear. Total fool out of myself. Nobody said a word. But I've heard from people that have had miserable experiences there. I would say just dress in what you want.
Layer. How about layers? That way.
But don't be an ass. Don't be an ass about it.
There's alcohol involved, Mo.
Don't be an ass.
It's me.
Just don't be an ass.
Okay.
Don't be that guy. Well, that's cool. Good luck.
And I did have a dream.
Yeah?
It's a ridiculous dream, mind you. It was 29-0 going into the half Bengals.
And then
I woke up.
Okay. So I think the Bengals are going to win.
I like this.
I think the Bengals are going to win the football game. The closer we get to it, like if you would have asked me Sunday night, I was so euphoric, Steelers lose, Brandon Carr interception, overtime. I was so euphoric, I'd have been like, I'm going to win 30-7. I don't think it's going to be like that. I think it's going to be what you sort of think.
17-14, 2017, yeah.
So I'm going to say good guys 20. I'll say Pittsburgh 17.
I'm going to agree with you on that because I would rather see a game that doesn't turn into a shootout because I think that'll benefit the Bengals a little bit more. Because I don't think Andy Dalton has the confidence if he gets behind to start throwing the ball down the field. I think he'll get nervous. I think if it's a close game, I think he's a little bit more confident and feels a little bit more in control.
But we haven't even mentioned the guy that I think is going to be most important. Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis.
Yeah.
4 of the last 5 weeks gone over 100 yards. Should have against Dallas had they actually used them when they should have. Can you run the ball on these guys? Big if. If not, Andy Dalton's got to make 3rd and longs. Battered up secondary or no. Can he do it against a Dick LeBeau defense? Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis hangs onto the football, goes over 100 yards. Bengals win. We're going to the playoffs.
And then I'm going to the bar after that on Sunday night.
And don't be an ass. Again, probably even to a larger degree.
You say that like it's going to be easy not to be. If the Bengals win in Heinz Field, do you think I'm just going to sit there and be like, that was a really nice game?
No, high fives. You just don't be flipping people off as they leave. Don't be that guy.
How many times have they done it to us?
Often.
Exactly.
So a little payback.
Sorry, I'm screaming. Now I'm a little.
When you come back in a cast next week.
Signed by the Bengals.
Signed by the Bengals.
Yes, there we go.
I'll say I told you so. I would feel better if one of us picked a loss. I think I'm almost too confident about this.
I can't pick. I can't pick a loss because I feel as confident as I ever have about them going into Heinz Field. It's not the same Pittsburgh team, and we have a chance to go in there and make history.
And that indeed might be a sign of the apocalypse.
Good luck with all that and the fire and brimstone.
Merry Christmas.
Homeowners insurance. Get it today.
Ho, ho, ho. Feliz Navidad.
Happy Kwanzaa.
That too.
Hanukkah's over, so we don't have to worry about the...
Merry Festivus.
For the rest of us. And...
Happy Boxing Day.
Oh, God,
Canadians.
Eat, yes.
The Canadians
love the Canucks.
Yeah.
I'm out. Sorry, hockey. NHL.
Sorry about that.
Rest in peace.
Go watch the Cyclones.
Ooh, good call.